Well, it's 7:00, so I will go ahead and call to order our regular meeting. First, do I have a request to remove any items from the consent agenda for discussion?
Nothing for me.
Thank you, Joy.
No, nothing.
I'm good.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, and so can somebody make a motion to approve the order of items?
So
for the regular
moved.
consent?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So easy. And so we'll just slide right into the president's verbal report. And I just wanted to let you all know that this is National Library Week.
Yes.
Very exciting. This year's theme is There is More to the Story. And this theme places emphasis on the fact that libraries are so much more than a place for books.
Mhm.
Libraries bring communities together for entertainment, education, and connection. And throughout the week, different days highlight different things to celebrate. So yesterday was the Right to Read Day, and today is National Library Workers Day. Tomorrow is National Library Outreach Day to bring awareness to libraries meeting people where they are. And Thursday is Take Action for Libraries Day, which is a day to rally advocates to urge Congress to stand against censorship. Because
That'll happen on a cold day in hell. Sorry, did I say that out loud?
And because today is National Library Workers Day, I know that you will all join me in recognizing the very valuable contributions made by library workers everywhere, but especially here in this building.
Absolutely.
We are so lucky to have some of the very best here.
Beyond lucky.
Here, here. And we don't need a day to celebrate and honor all of our library workers, but it is so nice to get to do that.
Lucky, L-U-C-K-Y.
That is right. That is right. I will also mention that on the 14th, right? That was, I don't remember how long ago that was, but we had a nice retirement party for Jerry Ashley, and he was very moved by the resolution that we presented to him. Would anybody like to read this resolution for us all? Sure. Okay.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've all done it, so it's your turn. Whereas Jerry Ashley has served the Bloomfield Township Public Library and community as Facility Services Maintenance Assistant since November 24th, 1997. And whereas he has remained committed to providing excellence in public library service and dedicated to a high standard of care for the support and maintenance of the library building and grounds. And whereas Jerry Ashley has consistently supported the library through its ups, roofing repairs and lighting upgrades, and downs, lower level flooding and renovations, with patience and fastidious attention to detail. And whereas he has performed his duties, forever striving to improve the library as well as his own knowledge of the nuances, requirements of the space, each year honing into another aspect of the building's needs and learning more. And whereas Jerry performed his many responsibilities with exceptional loyalty and reliability, especially when responding to many frantic after-hours phone calls, evening power failures, midday floods, and early morning snowstorms, therefore let it be resolved that Bloomfield Township Public Library Board of Trustees commends Jerry Ashley on his retirement. Heartfelt thanks to him for his 25 years of service to the community as a dedicated steward and valued colleague. And this is signed by Danny Gilman, President, Board of Trustees.
Thank you so much for reading that. Jerry was so touched by these words. He was touched by seeing people come to this retirement party, and he also had his family there, his grandchildren and his granddog.
That's what I heard.
And it was really lovely. He commented on how much he really loves each person that he has worked with here, and that it was such a wonderful 25 years. He also, I think you all know that he's an artist, and he drew this card, and this is a thank you note to the Board of Trustees, so I'll pass that around for.
Who wrote the text? Did you do that? Who wrote
I
the-
did not write this
I was
text.
just wondering who wrote it.
Lyndon did.
A very
Oh,
talented
okay.
woman.
Oh,
Very
yes.
nice. She doesn't like attention called to herself.
Okay.
The ups
We
and
did
downs.
practice reading the resolution a couple of times to see if it was readable.
Some of
It's
it's
so-
so
it's
just
sharp.
sharp.
It really
It's
is.
hard to fit everything
Yes.
into one resolution.
It's
Yes.
sure, sure.
25 years is an exceptional career,
Yes.
isn't it? So thank you for writing that.
Yes.
Lyndon is often my ghostwriter.
And that is all that I have for my report, and so we can move on to the director's report.
Yes. Well, I also want to say Happy National Library Week. Thank you all for being library workers who don't get paid. But we couldn't survive without your guidance and all the things that you do, so thank you for that. We are celebrating, one of the ways we celebrate National Library Week is with our Star Reader program. So young readers are encouraged to bring their favorite book into the library and they get their photo taken with it. And then we draw 20 names out of those folks and make read posters out of them. So you know the ALA read posters usually features a celebrity. Our young readers get to be on those posters, and then we display 2 each month for the entire year. So that's how we celebrate, one of the ways we celebrate. We also celebrate with our photo contest reception, which is happening this Saturday. Wanted to remind you all about that. 11 awards will be presented to resident amateur photographers. 10 of those awards were decided on by our jury, and 1 is a People's Choice Award, which is decided on by the internet. Judy will be our MC, and I hope to see you all there. It's a really fun way to interact with patrons in a casual way.
What time is that?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. And we'll be making the award presentations at 3. You may recall that last month when we were meeting here, the Battle of the Books was going on across the hall. And in the library packet is a very lovely thank you letter from one of the teachers that was part of that with some really nice pictures. That was received the next day by Patricia. But I wanted to read aloud just one line from that thank you letter because to me, this explains why the freedom to read is so important and why stories help make us better people and help us feel heard and seen in the world. The teacher who was writing about the excellent selection of books used for the battle said, "The diversity of topics, including multiculturalism, social norms, belonging, bullying, diasporic backgrounds, religious differences, and adjustments of transferring to a new school were just some of the very relatable issues in which the boys currently navigate in their lives." So I'm glad that we were able to help those boys in some way by reading those books and then competing around them. Well, my next announcement was to talk about the spelling bee, but that cat is already out of the bag. It is on May 10th. This is something we've never done before, so this is a new thing for us, a spelling bee for adults. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm very excited about it. It's okay, Judy. It'll be okay. I wanted to let you all know that we're having some more tree work done on the property. In fact, in your packets, there is a couple of pages with photos of the trees that will be removed. I included that just for your information so you're aware of what's happening. Most of the trees are on the northwest corner of the library campus,
West, okay.
like Lone Pine and Telegraph. Some fell down during the heavy snows
And the ice.
Yeah. But some of them, we believe, are victims of the marshy conditions that exist over there because they're pine trees not meant to survive in that wet environment. So many of them, they're clearly just dead, and we are going to have great oaks remove them. But there are a handful that just appear to not be thriving, and so Hugo is going to engage with American tree arborists to to have them examined and make a further recommendation. So again, just so you know that that's happening, in case you drive by and see chainsaws.
The arborvitae.
Right, but they're not being taken out, they're just being,
The arborvitae's, right, they're just being staked up.
okay,
Yep,
great.
And I did mention that Doc Picard has passed away.
yeah, you did.
Who's this?
Oh, he was the foremost tree person in the United, or in, at least in the eastern part of the United States. And he was part of American Tree, and he's the one who's come to, he knows everything. I think he would probably say that there are a lot of pine disease going around, much more than wet feet.
Okay.
So it's you know, when you have a monoculture, they'll wipe out everything, so we're pretty good about staggering things, so.
We did have Steve Turner out
I was,
last week.
and that's where I heard that name, because I remember Steve talking about.
Right, Steve was his prodigy, so.
Yeah, he and Hugo are now introduced and working
Oh,
on
good,
it.
okay,
good.
okay.
Yeah.
Steve's a good guy.
Yeah. And then the new vending company, Perfection Vending, has come on board. We're still working through some things. We don't have coffee machines in yet, but Catherine and I are working with Jim from Perfection on getting those things going.
Was that kind of a surprise, or do we know that they weren't gonna be being able to deliver all of the,
It was a surprise.
okay. I was kind of surprised when I saw the coffee
Yeah.
vending machine wasn't here.
And then I wanted to share a staffing update, a couple of staffing updates actually. We have created a new position in youth services. There were 2 intern positions in youth services. We have transitioned one of those positions into a part-time position called Early Childhood Specialist. So this would be a 20-hour-a-week person, not requiring a master's degree, so it's not a librarian, but somebody with a bachelor's degree in education or something equivalent, or with a lot of experience in education. This position was created in response to a huge demand for services for early childhood literacy and development. We think it's that pandemic baby boom, because those babies are like 2-3 years old now. In addition, it's been very difficult to find staff who want to work in youth services. We had an intern posting a few months ago that we got 0 applications for. I think that what's happening with intellectual freedom challenges and other difficulties in the education field are making it difficult for folks to want to work with kids these days. So we're going to try this out, see how it goes. I think it's a really good response to the demand that's taking place in that department. And the budget impact is minimal. It's about $1,000 more than an intern costs. And I talked to the personnel committee about it yesterday, and they supported that position, so we'll be posting that next week.
That's exciting.
And the posting is in your packets if you're interested. Just a couple other staffing updates, and then I promise I'm done. With Jerry's retirement, we selected Tom Corliss, who has been a part-time maintenance assistant for about 9 years, to fill that vacated position. So Tom will be with us full-time now. So we have another opening for a 20-hour maintenance assistant. We just recently hired a 20-hour adult services librarian, a man named John Sapp. He is taking the place of Drew, who was a 20-hour person who filled the spot left by Carrie Yukon. So Drew is now full-time and John Sapp is taking that 20-hour position.
Okay.
I know, it's been, that's how we feel every day. It's like Tetris.
But I love the progression.
Yes.
It's nice to have a good bench and to develop people, and it must be a good example for folks to see that you are, for the most part, hiring from within. So good job.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that's all I have to say.
Okay, wonderful. Well, it is now time for calls for public, and we can hear from Laura, who is our new SOC member.
That's correct. Hi, I'm Laura Norman, in case I didn't get to introduce myself. I'm the new secretary, as mentioned. And so with the new fiscal year, most of the events happened right in April. Everything sort of got tied up. And then
Wrong spot, sorry.
so now we're really focusing on Staff Development Day, which is next Friday. And so we have made plans for all of our food items, catering. We're currently working on a little event featuring some rubber ducks for the staff, which should be fun. But that's pretty much our focus right now. So.
What is the theme of Staff Development Day?
Oh, the theme.
It's strategic planning.
Ah,
So I am responsible for planning Staff Development Day. Our main session in the morning will cover strategic planning and invite our entire staff to provide input on the specific activities we should do in support of our goals. And SOC really steps in as kind of my right-hand team because we also want to treat our staff really well on Staff Development Day. So we do provide a continental breakfast and a buffet lunch. So they help me to get all of that organized, to help make sure people are in the right places at the right time, that they're receiving an agenda for the day as they walk in. So we couldn't do Staff Development Day without our SOC.
What can I say? So thank you. But yeah, that's.
And Laura, where will we find you in the library?
Oh, I am a clerk over in circulation.
Thank you. You look familiar, but I wasn't sure where.
Oh, yep. You've probably seen me hanging out.
I have,
yes.
yes.
All right, good.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Welcome.
Thank you.
And now we will move on to unfinished business. Do we have any unfinished business?
We do not.
Okay.
We've finished all of our business.
Great. Well, then let's move on to new business and discuss the cleaning services bid.
Yeah.
And we can find that in our packet on page 30.
Yep.
Okay.
Should be page 30.
It is the start of
All right. There's a
promotions on
memo.
31.
Yep, there's a memo there in the analysis. Well, as you all know, we bid our cleaning services out every 3 years. So it was time to do that again. Lots of new leadership in the library, so this is another change that we are proposing. And I'm going to turn it over to Catherine, who is going to, the assistant director is responsible for not only Staff Development Day, but all bids throughout the library, and she's gonna recap the process for us.
Sure, thank you, Tara. So in early February, we sent a request for proposals for cleaning services out directly to 33 companies in Metro Detroit. These are companies that we've either contacted in the past or that have reached out to us asking about our cleaning services. As companies do that, we take down their name and contact information for the bid process every 3 years. We held a mandatory walkthrough for interested proposers at the end of February, and we had representatives from 7 companies join us. We received proposals by the deadline from 6 of those 7 companies. Unfortunately, the 7th company sent their proposal in several hours after the deadline and after the bids had already been through the public opening process. So we chose not to consider that bid that came in after the deadline. One really big difference in many of the bids, or something that had a really wide range, was the number of personnel hours allotted to cleaning this building. The building itself, as you know, is over 100,000 square feet. Well, our cleaning staff does not clean all of that. Notably, they don't clean our staff areas. They do clean public areas, including tabletops, vacuuming, lobby floors, our several restrooms around the building, dusting our bookshelves. There is a lot to it. In Hugo's experience, a building of this size with this much use requires 14 to 16 personnel hours to clean.
A day?
Per day.
Wow.
7 days a week. So that was a major component in what we were looking at. As we went through the 6 proposals that we received, our current bidder had only allotted about 9 to 12 personnel hours per day. And in the last several months, we've noted some concerns with the cleaning of the building. 2 companies did offer that 14 to 16 personnel hours. Augie's Building Services offered 14 personnel hours at a lower price than the other master maintenance. Augie's also took our specifications from our RFP and really reworked them in their proposal in a way that none of the other bidders did, showing us that they had a really thorough understanding of what needed to be done at the library, even down to a minute-based breakdown of how long each task should take. I know, right? I feel like I need that for my own house. So we really felt that Augie's had a very clear understanding of the work that needed to be done. There is a big stack of papers in the middle of the table that is a copy of each of the proposals we received, with Augie's on top, I believe. We also conducted references for Augie's, and all of the references spoke to their good relationship with owner Matthew Bazell, saying that he's very accommodating, very attentive. One person even said that they own facilities in multiple states, and Augie's is their local cleaner here in Michigan, and they wish that they had an Augie's in every state that they could work with, because cleaning was one of their biggest challenges. So all of that to say, after we analyzed all of these various proposals, we do recommend awarding the contract to Augie's Building Services. Do you have any questions?
I have a couple.
Sure.
So 16 hours, but 4 employees, so it's really 4 hours per employee. Okay.
Yep.
And then I note that we had dual before, correct?
We did.
So we're almost, it's quite a leap in price, but is that because based on the personnel and the number of hours?
It is. It is
Okay.
partially based on the personnel hours, the rate of pay for the employees,
Okay.
times 14 to 16
Right.
hours per
Okay.
night. We also compared these proposed prices to what was proposed, what we received from other bidders 3 years ago in 2020. And many of those proposals were over $100,000 at that time.
Okay.
And as we know, labor and supply costs and
Sure,
inflation have
everything's
only
gone
gone up since then. So we feel that, frankly, we may have been underpaying.
Okay.
Interesting.
And then one other question, if we decide to go with Augie's, who initially shows them? Is this Hugo, or who shows them where things are, what the process is, how they get into the building, who is the trainer of these?
That's Hugo.
That is Hugo,
Yep, as
okay.
facilities department head, that's his area of oversight.
Okay, and then I'm assuming then whoever comes with the team, there's like the leader of the team.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
One other question, well, just like this, is it possible to benchmark with other libraries to find out how much they're paying and who they're using? Or do you feel that's not necessary to do? I'm just wondering.
We don't have that information publicly available as far as I know.
Could you just call them up and say?
I have had a few informal conversations, and it sounds like we are on the right track.
Okay, that's what I was just wondering about.
Yes, I don't know of any other public libraries that use Augie's Building Services for their cleaning.
Okay.
But based on some informal conversations,
Okay.
we're on
Just
the
to
right
get a-
track with
Just get a rough
price.
sense for what seems to be the going rate and just, okay.
But I will say that the one place that they seem to clean, which to me is a great thing, is Orange Theory Fitness, not necessarily Orange Theory, but that's where people are touching everything and
Yeah.
sweating,
Yeah.
and if they give them excellent reviews, I mean, that's where you'd really want something to be really clean, so, yeah.
I agree.
I don't know, maybe I missed it. Is there something about emergency cleaning? Like if, I don't know, something
There is
happens?
not. Augie's did not include emergency
Okay.
cleanup services in their proposal.
Okay.
That is something we could have further conversation with them about, and we do hope to maintain our good relationship with Dual, who have provided emergency services for us in the past.
Yeah, that's what I thought that
Tell me a little bit
did
more about
that.
emergency, what are you referring
Like
to?
a flood.
A flood, okay.
Yes.
Which would be,
Yes.
Right, okay. Well, I found it extremely interesting that there was like a standard of number of hours for square feet. I'm glad we know that.
Well, I'm glad that Hugo
Yes.
has that type of
Yeah.
knowledge base.
Right.
That's very
Important.
critical, so.
Right, and of course, we didn't know that there were some issues with Dual, but I mean, you would have, that would have come out obviously, which it did, so, anyway, yeah, I it sounds like a good choice.
I also thought it was interesting that you all had a summer number of employees and winter
Oh,
number of employees.
that was a
Yeah.
question that I had, which I just missed. Did Hugo say anything about we need more hours in the winter? And I know we have slush and everything that come in, but
Yeah, I never really heard that before. I don't remember that coming up in previous.
that's kind of
Bids?
weird, yeah.
I assume, yeah, it's because winter is more messy
Yeah.
and there's salt and
Right.
there's more cleaning that needs to happen.
This isn't the company that would provide like mats and things like that, right?
No, we use Cintas
Separate.
for that, yeah.
Well, if there's no further discussion, Joan, would you like to read the motion?
Okay, and what page is
That's
it?
on page
It's on-
31, I believe.
It is.
Okay. You know what?
33 then.
Oh,
It depends if you have the updated packet
Right.
or
I
not.
don't.
Right.
I
Okay.
can take, I'm off the old one.
Do you want me to read it?
I have it.
Oh, do you
Yeah,
have
I
it?
have it. I think I'm on the newer one. I'm not certain. I think I downloaded it. I move that Augie's Building Services, 4147 Darling Court, Waterford, Michigan, 48329, be awarded the contract to provide cleaning services for Bloomfield Township Public Library commencing on June 1st, 2023.
And is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And is this
Thank you.
I should ask this, is this a 3-year contract or, yeah, okay,
It's 1 year with the opportunity to
got it,
renew it twice, but
Great.
essentially 3 years.
okay.
Thank you for all your work,
Mhm.
Catherine.
Yes.
It was
Thank you. I learn a lot every time I do one of these bid processes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Thank you so much for your support.
and now is the other section, so if anybody has any other, now is your time.
I do have, as I looked through the suggestions and comments, I was concerned, I would say, that there was an anonymous comment that someone asked if we should have an off-duty police officer here in the library. I don't know if that requires any further investigation or comments or discussion among the board.
There's a couple different ways you can take that. I too was surprised. It sounds like maybe you're thinking, should we be looking at that from what is the point of view we should be looking at
Yes.
that? And should we be taking notice and being concerned? I'm also concerned that why would someone think we would need to hire someone on a regular basis? And I don't know if that's just a response to what's going on around us in public buildings. But yes, I thought the same thing. It's concerning, very concerning.
When I see it, I just think that I want to make sure that our patrons feel safe here. So, I just don't want someone to ask that question coming from a place of not feeling safe, or wanting to know what kind of security measures we have in place here. That was kind of how I took it.
I can say that we have lots of different emergency procedures, and we have one specifically for what to do in the event of an active shooter or an active violent attack. And we have drilled those procedures a couple of times over the years. We have a very good relationship with Bloomfield Township Police, and they assure us their response time is usually around 2 minutes. In fact, last summer, was it in the summer we did active shooter training with Bloomfield Township Police Department? We reviewed the run, hide, fight method, which is what they propose and suggest for active shooter situations. When I read that comment, my thought was that they're responding to what's happening in the wider world, and that was where that comment came from, because you hear that, arm the teachers and that kind of thing. We all have our, I guess, views on what the best thing to do is, but that would be my response, is just to say that we have these procedures, we do think about it, we talk about it, and we have the police on speed dial.
And train for it, it sounds like. Yeah, I think that's important too. Because you're right, it could be that they're just concerned
Right,
for themselves as well as others.
And I will say that there are some religious and cultural groups in the area that whose programming and events do have a lot of security around, and there are some groups who have who are required to have security in place at their events, and sometimes that they're undercover, and that could be a response to that too, and so.
Is there an official position from any of the library associations about security in libraries? We would want to be in accordance with whatever is that official position.
I think it's so dependent on the neighborhood and the community that your library's in. I mean, the official position is we want everybody to be safe in the
And to
library.
feel
No, I
safe.
understand that, but that we're doing what you just described about training and a close association with the local police, is that considered, and I hate to use this term, but is that considered legally defensible? In case there is a terrible tragedy here, is the library at least covered from a legal point of view where somebody wouldn't come back and say, well, the library was negligent by not having, I hate to speak but we have to speak that way.
Yeah.
And where someone would come back and say, well, the library was negligent, they didn't follow what was standard practice in this kind of a situation. So it seems like we would just want to understand if there's an expectation that a public library should be doing more. Maybe what you just described is all a public library is expected to do.
Yeah, I can't think that there's any ALA.
I haven't seen
Okay,
anything from
fair
ALA, but I think you bring up a good point, actually both of you. So I'm thinking that maybe there's some community forum with leaders from like Temple Bethel and the school district and other public spaces. Not that Bethel is really public, but they have security there every day now. So I'm just wondering if it wouldn't behoove us to talk to the township about any sort of community group that's discussing these things for public spaces.
Yeah, I can look into it.
I think that's a good point. Just that we're doing everything that we're expected to do without being
And being in compliance.
unreasonable. Yes. It's so horrible, but it's not even any point
Think
to
of, but
even
better
go
to
there.
be prepared.
And the library has protocols in place for being a safe space or like a place to muster and stuff, right?
For schools.
Yes, yeah.
So it certainly, while it feels very new to some of us, there are systems in place. But yes, it is important to make sure that we are in compliance with whatever standards need to be
Isn't
set.
that part of the security in the building that we're talking about adding, or will have the ability to add automatic closure of the doors when we get the security system that's, I thought Hugo said something about they did. Is that, no? No, you're not
Perhaps, I
bringing it
hadn't
up.
really thought about that, but maybe you heard something I didn't.
I think
fully
it was
hear.
an ability to, and maybe I was hearing it for what I was thinking possibly it was for, but that there's an ability to now like lock every door automatically from
Remotely.
remotely.
I think he may have been saying that compared to our current system, which requires like pulleys and llamas and like clowns dancing.
He did not talk about anything about safety.
It's like, it takes Lyndon a lot of hoops to jump through to try to program the doors. And there are systems that are more
User friendly.
Sophisticated.
from 2020 instead of 2000, that are easier to use, where we could, if there was something going on and we were off-site, we would be able to control it from a cell phone, let's say. But
Or even from
yeah, for if there
a
was,
laptop in the basement.
yes. And I hadn't really considered it from that point of view, but that's an interesting aspect of that.
Sorry that I did.
Thank you. Is there any other?
I think I have other.
Okay, great.
From the Friends who, as you know, had big sale days in March. A total of $10,500.
Jeez.
They had a really big month for the shop too. The shop seems to be really gathering steam, and they're very excited about it. Yeah. They had 17 memberships at the sale alone, which is great. So they are at 366 memberships. I'm not sure exactly how that compares to last year, but I think they said they were about on par, if a little bit ahead. They are working or have been working on their slate for the board, and that is set and I believe will be announced, if it hasn't already, at the annual meeting. So just a little reminder that the annual meeting is coming up May 3rd, thank you. Ambassador meeting is the 2nd. The lunch is the 3rd. RSVPs are due by Friday, so if you can
And you can
attend.
RSVP to,
I think you can do it right at the front desk.
Yeah.
I called,
at the welcome desk, I
yes,
think, right?
I
Okay.
just called today. So please attend if you can.
Yeah, that's always a nice meeting. A nice event.
Yeah.
As well, we had a nice volunteer appreciation reception, and just a thank you to Marty, who is the volunteer coordinator here and who did a great job. Really honoring all the volunteers, and many of whom are friends, members, and so that was just another nice thing. And if there is no other, then I will just announce that our next scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, May 16th. And the topic there will be board development and the summer reading program preview from staff. And in our packet on page 23 is a memo with some things to ponder in terms of our board development. So I will now adjourn the meeting at 7:39.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.